And this is the Women of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're talking about motherhood. We're talking about nurturing the nurturers. Because if you haven't noticed, this world is made up of families. Okay, families that are dysfunctional, families that kind of function, but most of them are just simply dysfunctional, okay? Everyone is a result of a mother and the father coming together and then making it work or not, right? And if we're gonna make this world a better place and heal the world, as Michael Jackson says, then we've got to understand what it takes in order for families to function optimally, in the best possible manner for everyone to benefit, but especially the kids. The kids are the future. The family is the fundamental unit and the most important unit of society. Without families, this world is gonna get screwed over. Okay? If we get families to function, however, if they work optimally, we've solved the entire equation. Literally. If families are awesome and kids grow up having fun, feeling the love of their parents, the father and mothers loving each other, and the families being powerfully structured in a way that they never depart from each other, they never fight, they have passion and obsession towards each other in that relationship, and those kids can see that, they'll be like, man, I want the kind of relationship that my parents have one day when I grow up. And that becomes their biggest desire in their lives, is to have the same life that their parents have, but even better. Which makes it even more fantastic because they have something to look forward to, is something that they're working towards, and because of basically time, things evolve and improve always over time. This generation is smarter and wiser and better than the past generation because we've been passed on the information and knowledge from the past, right? Especially when people write things down, when people publish it online, everything has made it possible for us to have the most information in this day and age than ever before. And then you have the past generation, then the past generation, then the past generation. We evolve over time and get information and figure out that which works. We come nearer to the truth continuously over time, which means that this world is automatically going to get better, not worse, okay? What do I mean by that? I'm basically telling you that all of the crap that's happening in the world these days, it's only temporary. Because over time, everyone is gonna learn the truth. The definition of truth is that which works in the long run and in the big scheme of things. And it's only a matter of time that people begin to apply the correct principles that are needed in order for things to function. Well, let's start with number one. Let's figure out how we can help your family function optimally so that your kids can benefit from it, and your grandkids and your great-grandkids and your great-great-grandkids. It is the most important knowledge for you to have. The stuff that we teach on this channel. And nowhere else are you going to be taught the things that you're taught here. I can promise you that. Okay, so let's dig deep into it now. In terms of the parents, because that's where it's at, okay? You've got a father and a mother. On this channel, we're of the opinion that one mother is not enough, and I'm going to explain over time in this video. But first of all, let's look at the roles and responsibilities of the different parties of the family. You've got the kids. When they're born, you can't expect much from them. They have nothing to give, okay? The only thing that they're gonna give is basically, warm fuzzy feelings for the parents when they look at their kid, being so cute and being a baby, etc. But it's also going to give a lot of heartache, a lot of headache, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of crap that comes with having children, obviously. What is the role of a father? His primary role is the protection and provision of his family. The mother's primary responsibility is nurturing. Me personally, I don't really look at it as a responsibility as I do I would rather call it something that she does naturally, no matter what, okay? If women were designed to care, they automatically care. The only time when they do not care and they act selfishly will be when they have max capacity, when they're maxed out. They don't have any more capacity to go around. And when that happens, she doesn't care anymore. This is a very dangerous place to be. But if the woman has capacity and she has been nurtured, she will naturally nurture. It's her responsibility, but she naturally does it, so it's not even a responsibility. Does that make sense? If you look at what the world will teach you these days, they'll say, well, you know, women and men are equal, so they can do each other's job just as well. It's even better if they can both be out in the workforce, make money, and build up the government, and build up the country, and the economy, blah, blah, blah. And then both come home and help out in the home, and both do their equal amount of load in the home, taking care of the kids when they come home from school, and, you know, taking care of the cleaning and the dishes, and blah, blah, blah. That happens in every single household. Does it happen, though? Not so much. It's quite interesting because can a father ever become a better nurturer than the mother if she's unburdened? If she's burdened, if she's at her max capacity, okay, maybe the dad has more capacity, so he blames his wife or the mother of his child and says, she can't nurture the child, so I have to nurture the child. And then he tries to do it. He's gonna do a horrible job. Men primarily suck at nurturing. Simply from the way that they take risks, the way that they do things with children. And I'm talking now specifically about children between the age of 0 to 9. Of course, fathers, the kids that age also need their fathers, but primarily, most of the time, mothers do a better job than the father will. Okay? So I don't think a father would ever do a greater job than the mother who has capacity to do so. On the other hand, you could say, well, can mothers do a better job than men in terms of protection and provision for the family? Really? Are you serious? Not really. Unless the man is extremely demotivated or not ambitious at all or doesn't even want to work, right? He's like, go out and work, baby. I'm going to stay home and do whatever I want and take care of the kids. Really, right? So you see how what ends up happening is that if the father neglects his responsibility, or even worse, is not even there, right? What happens? Well, the mother has to now take on all of the responsibilities. Even in a home where there's both parents there, what you'll notice is that the man very, very rarely helps out with the other things in the house. The mother will go to work in an equal home, will go to work just as much as the man does. Maybe the man works a little tiny bit extra, but then she comes home and now her full-time job starts. Because having children is way more than a full-time job. Once you have kids, what ends up happening is that you actually, literally, the first few years of that child's life, while they're still struggling maybe with sleeping schedules, because some parents don't know how to do that, having a child basically is a 24/7 job. 365 until that child has a proper sleeping schedule and sleeps 10 hours throughout the night. Until then, it's a 14-hour full-time job, right? Now, a lot of women can't handle that pressure, so they end up putting the child away to childcare or to school or to whatever they can so that they can be relieved of the responsibility because they don't have capacity for it. They literally can't take care of it. And it's normal. This is what happens. And they're lonely at home if they're taking care of kids by themselves, so they end up going out and taking on work. That's easier to do. That gives them more what can I say, they don't have to trust the man as much that he's going to fulfill his responsibility, and they know that he can't do something that will screw her over and all that stuff. She has security now that she can take care of her own finances. This is what what's being taught out there in mainstream these days. These days, women are literally feeling left outside or feel left behind for not going out there and getting a career. Who is this bad for? It's bad for everyone, but especially the kids, right? You'll see that eventually it's extremely bad for the economy. People say that, oh, it's great for the economy. No, it's bad. And I can do multiple videos about that. But right now we're talking about nurturing the nurturers. Okay. Again, I'm saying that women, let's say we actually managed to create a functional home as much as possible and we divided the responsibilities and the man actually provided and protected properly according to his ambition and motivation. He's probably doing his best, okay? It's very difficult to do your best as a man if you are in monogamy, because monogamy causes you as a man to not be masculine, but to become feminine. You become a hybrid. The woman, she's feminine maybe when they start out, but once the kids arrive, she suddenly becomes the leader of the home. She might have been before the kids came around, but like 95 to 100% of the time, the woman will suddenly become the leader once the children arrive, because she's the nurturer. She knows what's best for the child. She knows this, that, and the other. And so the man is like, well, okay, I'm gonna try and do my best and help out, blah, blah, blah. But he sucks at everything, basically, except for the fact of going out there and making money, right? So what ends up happening is that the mother, she was feminine, but the definition of masculinity is burden, responsibility, right? So if you put masculinity on top of woman, burden, then she's going to become more and more masculine. And then she's going to spend a lot of time with the man because the man is needed in the home. He can't be outside, doing other stuff or working 80-hour work weeks when she's struggling at home with the kids. So what ends up happening is that they're both becoming hybrids. Naturally, what ends up happening is that we now create a lack of capacity for both genders. Literally, the mother is becoming masculine, which zaps her of energy. Literally, it drains her of her capacity because she's fueled by estrogen. She's fueled by her obsession towards her man. She's fueled by love. She's fueled by, estrogen and having life around her, having people around her. But as a mother, very often, especially if you're homeschooling, you're going to notice that you are alone all of the time. No one understands you. A lot of people are not mothers these days, and so you basically feel alone. And if the others are mothers, they have their own problems. And so you end up not seeing each other very often. The majority of the time you are by yourself in the home with the child who you can't talk to very often. And even if you can talk to the child, they don't understand what's going on and they don't understand what you're feeling and your emotions, etc., etc. It's really difficult for women, extremely difficult. It's become my life mission to alleviate the burdens of women and children everywhere, and that's what we're doing with this channel and with the Men of High Value movement. As I was saying, the man becomes a hybrid. He becomes masculine/feminine, which is a huge problem because that drains him of his energy, his motivation, his ambition, which causes him to have a lower capacity to work because he has to also fulfill a woman role in the home because the wife needs him. I've got so much experience with this, guys. You have no idea. I've been married for 11 years. We got 3 kids. Amazing family. Love them to, wow, okay? I love my family so much. However, man, it was difficult. It was really hard. It came to the point where I had to retire from having a full-time job because she needed me at home. So I ended up building businesses continuously while being in my home. Thank goodness for, what's it called? The decentralized economy or whatever it is, Uber and all these different things that allowed me to work different kinds of hours, etc. Because that allowed me to be in the home quite a lot with my family, which allowed me to help out and allowed me to be a woman and fulfill a woman's role. Do you understand what I mean? So that was good for our kids because we chose to homeschool. We had to homeschool, in my opinion, because putting your kids out into kindergarten and school and giving them over to low-wage government employees, in my opinion, is neglect. It's not your fault if you're a woman and your children have gone through that thing, but think about how it was when you were a child. Okay? Where are all the bad memories that you have from? Most probably it's from school. Most probably it's from your high school, from, embarrassing things that happen, regrets that you have, all of the crap that happened in high school. It came as a result of you going to school. Could it have happened if you didn't go to school? Yeah, maybe, but really, you just get trapped in this, following the crowd mentality when you're in school, so you kind of have to do the things that they do, and it gets you into trouble eventually, doesn't it? Anyway, what I'm saying is, if we fulfill the roles properly, the man will be out, he'll fulfill his masculine role, and he'll be gone the majority of the day. This is extremely difficult in monogamy, especially when there's kids around. If there's no kids, it's really not much burden, and people don't even know what I'm talking about on this channel. If you've had kids, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So anyway, the man is out, the woman is now alone by herself, or is she? Is there a better way, okay? What does the woman need? It's kind of like oxygen. When you're on an airplane, before you can help anyone else, if the airplane begins to have problems, you put on the oxygen, right? And the TVs, they're telling you what to do, right? Before you help out the children, you need to put oxygen on your face first, right? And then you can help everyone else. Motherhood is exactly the same. In order for a woman to continuously have the capacity to nurture, she needs to be nurtured. I cannot stress this enough. If nurturers are not nurtured in advance of her nurturing, okay, and having a continuous flow of nurturing in her life, she will not be able to nurture the kids properly. That's just a fact, okay? There's two different ways of living. You have survival mode, you have growth mode. When you're in survival mode, this is when you're being drained. This is when you have no capacity and you're basically drowning in water and you have your head below water, right? And you're just like trying to stay afloat. This is a horrible way to live, but this is how mothers live the majority of time. This is why they're depressed. This is why they're lonely. They don't have capacity for anyone or anything. And because they don't have capacity, they feel as if there is no one else in the world who cares about them. They're alone. And they have issues, they have health issues, they don't have motivation to get out there and to take care of themselves because they can't. Because they've got the kids, right? Things improve when they neglect their kids and put them to kindergarten and school. Of course things improve. But whose lives are we screwing over as a result? The kids, right? Why on earth did we give birth to these kids if we're not going to take care of them? If we're not going to help them to have fantastic lives? And how are you going to do that if you don't even know what they're being taught at school? How are you going to know what's happening at school? How do you know that they're being bullied or not? How do you know what's going on at all times? The majority of a child's life is at school with other people. That's neglect. Again, it's not women's fault. Because in many ways, they just follow the mainstream. It's not your fault. But as a man needs to understand this. A man that doesn't make sure that his kids get the finest education, and I'm talking non-formal education, because the formal education you get out there is a bunch of bullcrap. It is. Then it's his fault. It's his responsibility to make sure that they've got the best education possible. And he can make sure that that happens when his kids are homeschooled. But guess what? Do women have capacity to homeschool these days? Not at all, right? So that's why they're doing what they're doing. But we've got to come to the point where that comes back to the home. Because what's being taught in schools is screwing everyone over. And because hurt people, most kids live in dysfunctional families. When they go to school, they have a low self-worth. And if everyone has a low self-worth, they end up practicing capitalism at school, which is basically survival of the fittest. Let's just try to get through these years, okay? It's really hard. You know, like I watched Dora the Explorer, you know, the full feature movie with my kids the other day, and I'm listening to this kid who's like embarrassed by Dora because she's like, freaky and does crazy things that like she doesn't fit with the crowd. And then this cousin of hers is like, stop embarrassing me. Like, it's hard enough getting through high school without you putting me in embarrassing situations. That's exactly what happens in school, but it's not just high school. It starts early on, okay? And you're basically keeping up with the Joneses and don't want to be left behind. And every time everyone has a phone, for example, you're just like, you go to your parents and you're like, yeah, I need to get a phone because everyone else has one and I don't have one. There's so much crap that is a natural result of putting kids in public school. And private schools are pretty much not that good either, or not much better. Tutoring maybe is way better because you could just save so much time. Anyway, I could talk about that another time. The whole issue is, how can we nurture women? How do we do it? Right? Because they're just at home by themselves. Most of them don't have cash, right? For babysitters or for nannies or for chefs or for cleaners or for all that stuff. Can we rely on grandmothers? Can we rely on aunties? Can we rely on sisters? Not very often. Sometimes, yeah, sure. But they're not always there, are they? And why? Because they've got their own issues. Very often, if you're a mother and you have kids, very often maybe your sisters and aunties and people around you also have kids. And they've got problems of their own. Everyone has a bunch of problems. Why do they have that? Because very often men suck. And if they don't have men in their lives who are actually fulfilling their responsibilities, life is harder for these women. So they can't connect and help out with each other, right? And the man is busy all the time, so he can't help out. So the mother, again, is by herself. If they have money, maybe they can get babysitters and chefs and nannies and all that stuff. But how viable is that? When you have to pay the government, basically, you have to pay the person twice as much because of the government. And if you don't pay the government, you just basically have a low-wage, girl from next door who's maybe helping you out. But how do you know that she's taking care of your child properly? How can you know that she's actually going to show up the time that she's going to show up? Girls are girls. They have other plans and they do this, that, and the other. And parents have to reschedule. There's like so much issues that comes with nannies, that comes with chefs, that comes with this, that, and the other, that is just one more thing to worry about. One more thing to try and control. One more thing to try and fit into your life. That increases the decision making, increases the stress, increases like, oh, the chef didn't come on time today. Why didn't they do this, that, and the other? And why are they being nosy into our privacy and private life? And blah, 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 blah. There's so much crap going on, right? Even in rich families' lives. Okay? Why do women need women? Because nurturers need to be nurtured. Okay? Can you send your wife out to spa treatments on a continual basis every single week? It's expensive, right? Especially if she's gonna get a good one. Can you send her to masseuses every week? Can you give her hair, skin, and nail treatments on a continual basis? Even if a man sent her off to do all of those nice fancy things and takes her out on wonderful dates, etc., you still need babysitters, right? At the same time, you can't. One, it's the financial aspect that most people can't afford doing that on a continual basis. And number two, those people that she goes to, she could get judged by them. And she could get horrible customer service and have a bad experience from it. And the women that are there don't understand what's going on very often. And are not there to kind of alleviate her of her burdens consistently enough. Does that make sense? Like, you can't go there every single day, right? And if you do, you're basically neglecting your kids again. So what is the optimal solution? Nurturers need to be nurtured. This is why we teach about 3 in Love on this channel. This is the Women of High Value channel, where the preferable, most amazing lifestyle I could even think of that we've been developing and discovering in the past few years is 3 in Love. 1 man, 3 women. Why is that necessary? Nurturers need to be nurtured. It is beautiful how women who have capacity take care of each other. If they have capacity, I mentioned in the beginning of this video that women naturally care if they have capacity. Okay? As long as the man takes care of the fundamental principles of the 3 in love principle or movement, he will understand what is required in order for them to have harmony in the home. If he doesn't live according to the principles, they won't. And it's going to create more problems. But if he does, it can be absolutely beautiful and will be amazing for these homeschooled kids. Absolutely amazing. Why is it that nurturers need nurturing? Why do they need that? Women need women. They need to spend 80 to 95% of their time with other women. They're social creatures, unless you haven't noticed. They want to have someone around them all the time. Now, this changes a little bit if the woman becomes more and more masculine. Then she begins to adopt the kind of traits of men, which is basically, no, I can do things on my own. I need alone time, okay? Because, I gotta have alone time because, my brain is in hyperdrive, right? A woman needs to calm down and she needs to be away from people a little bit if she's burdened. If she's unburdened, life is just wonderful and happy, and we are there for each other, and let's do this today and let's do that and whatever, right? Do you understand? If women collaborate in doing what is necessary in the home, it becomes amazing. When one woman is trying to be a mother for kids, you'll notice that she needs to cook, she needs to serve the food, and this needs to happen multiple times a day. We're talking 4 to 5 times a day if you're talking about kids, right? Because they need to eat pretty much every 3 hours at least. And if they don't, they're going to cry and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. So staying on track with the feeding schedule is crucial. The other aspect is making sure that, that you follow the schedules, the sleep routines, and make sure that the kids have what they need at each time that they need it. In terms of also cleaning the home, making sure that there's, safety and all that stuff in the house, that the kids are safe. But also just cleaning after the food, cleaning the house in general, domestic, increasing the beauty of the home. And also being there, just simply being there for the kids and being present, experiencing their life, experiencing the first footsteps, the first time they say something, the first time, all of that the small itty bitty things. Mothers should have the experience of having enjoyed those moments. And you can't do that when you're at work all the time. In 3 in Love, you have the capacity and ability to do that. It's absolutely beautiful. And you can enjoy that aspect. There's not just these things. There's entertainment, there's initiative taking, there's going out of the home in order to explore nature, in order to, have fun activities, go out to outings, restaurants, whatever, with the kids so that the kids experience diversity and fun and have the opportunity of also being with other kids. That's one thing I haven't mentioned here already, but homeschooling kids requires kids to be with multiple kids, okay? If you're going to follow the system that I teach on this channel, then one child is not enough. He's going to be lonely. And if he's by himself, alone, he doesn't relate and connect that much with his mother. He'll connect a lot because there's no other ones to connect to. But children need children just as much as women need women, right? So in our experience, one kid is definitely not enough. If it is only one kid, then you kind of have to put the kid in school, right? But if there's 2, that helps, but very often that creates opposing forces, which means that if one is not focused on, then the other one, is being the one that's focused on, and then they're being neglected and sometimes neglected and not neglected. Do you understand what I mean? 2 is an issue as well. But 3, in my opinion, again, is an optimal number. It truly is a magical number, actually. Because they can basically, when one receives attention, the other 2 have each other, etc., etc. So, what else is there to say? The most important work there is in the universe is motherhood. There is nothing else that's more important because we're evolving the families. We're making families better so that society can evolve and become absolutely beautiful to create heaven on earth eventually. Okay? The man's work is important. Yeah, of course. Like him making millions and millions of dollars, sure, it's important. But it's not more important than the family. It's not more important than these kids growing up and becoming absolutely fantastic. Why? Because relationships, the connections that you have with those that you love, are the most crucial in terms of joy, happiness, and bliss. There is nothing else that trumps the aspect of having close connections with those that you love in your internal inside circle, right? If we know this, then motherhood is the most important work there is, right? The father just simply makes that possible by him being out there working. He makes it possible for the women to enjoy their life luxuriously, I might add, while they take care of the kids. And if he provides that security for them, they don't ever have to worry about the finances. What kind of beautiful lifestyle is that? There's two different things, three categories of life that I say. It's relationships, health, and finance. If finance is taken care of for women, there's only relationships and health. That's the only thing that they need to take care of. The rest of the aspect of life could be then talents, hobbies, and just entertainment and improving on whatever skill or whatever thing that they want to improve on, right? It's amazing when women can simply focus on relationships and their health. If women don't have capacity, guess what misses out? Guess what loses? Their relationships. And also very often their health. If they have bad relationships, especially with their lover, with their man, then they're not going to have motivation in their lives. And then they're not going to have motivation to exercise and to eat healthily and to do things because they don't have any capacity, right? Love towards their man is what fuels motivation and ambition for women. But ambition towards creating the most amazing family lifestyle that they possibly can. It won't be fuel ambition towards having a career. The only reason why a woman is fueled towards ambition in her career is because she doesn't have a man or doesn't want a man because she doesn't trust men anymore, right? A woman who trusts her man will have no ambition towards a full-time career. Naturally. And a man who is trustworthy, who's masculine, will never want his wife to have a career outside of the home. Why would he want that? Why should she need to go out there if he's trustworthy in generating the resources that are necessary for the family to enjoy life, right? Anyway, moving back to the aspect of these three women having each other in the home. They have capacity for each other. They have harmony for each other. When one is struggling, the other two are there to solve all the other problems in the home, but also to nurture her, right? Instead of spa treatments and hair and skin and nails and masseuses and all that stuff, instead of going to the shop all of the time for the things that they need, they actually have capacity to grow a garden in the backyard, right? They have capacity to develop skills and talents and explore the world and explore their bodies and explore everything that they want to explore as women because they have time and money freedom. This is what 3 in Love allows them to do. And it's pretty freaking amazing if you ask me. It's all about capacity. Everything is about capacity. In this day and age, women are playing the monogamous game very badly, I might add, because it takes away, it strips them of capacity. One, because there's too much things to do, right? I'm not saying that you shouldn't have kids, by the way. Having kids is one of the greatest joys and blisses that you could ever have in your life as they grow up, you know? But also when you see them as children, they're like so beautiful and so cute and whatever. But it's a thankless job in the beginning. No one's thanking you. No one cares. Like, you can see that the babies kind of care, but you don't feel that all of the time when they're crying their heart out because they haven't eaten or because something's wrong. Like, do you understand? Anyway, I was explaining about how monogamy basically causes a woman to lose capacity. There's one aspect, basically having too much to do because of the kids. Number 2, because she very often goes out to work, then she neglects her kids, she feels bad about it, she comes home, and then she has to solve all of the problems that happen at kindergarten or school with that child, if the child speaks up about it. And then she has to clean and cook and do all the other things, and very often it becomes fast food because they don't have capacity for doing anything else. But at least they have money, so they can afford fast food. It's just a bunch of lack of capacity that's going on. But the biggest thing that causes women to have a lack of capacity is them not having a fulfilling sexual relationship, an enjoyment, a love, and an obsession towards their man. If they're fired up outside their brain about their man, they're going to be fired up outside their brains about creating an amazing home for him, but also for the kids, right? If they have that obsession, that means that he's produced an environment that allows her to have capacity. A woman will never be obsessed with the man that if she's a mother, it's kind of interesting women, now that I think of it, that it is times when they obsess about a man and they're not getting much in return. But I'm saying that in 3 in Love, the man would induce the kind of obsession that's very good for his family. Does that make sense? Like, a woman can be obsessed with the man that's very bad for her, but that's not going to be in the 3 in Love situation, because he's living the kind of rules that are necessary in order for this family to function. Okay, so we're talking now about men who are amazing, men who actually don't suck. Because if that's the case, then her obsession will actually assist her in her family. Because she's going to have capacity, because she wants to not only impress the man, but she wants to make sure that everything's ready for when he comes home, so that he can be fired up outside his brain when he comes home after him having been rejected all day. Cool part, when you're 3 women, the rejections that happen during the day from the kids doesn't affect you very much. It's amazing how that works. You guys actually have capacity to handle it. If you're 1 woman, oh my gosh. As 1 woman, very often you become a monster. Very often you become evil in many ways, because that's what happens naturally when a woman doesn't have capacity. We have to learn how to give women capacity. And the only thing that I can see possible is 3 in Love. Because wherever I look, where women are living in monogamy and having kids, young kids especially, they're not getting the help that they need. But if they do get the help that they need, guess what? That help disappears within a few hours, or maximum within a couple of days. Okay? And even if you could have a neighbor girl be there every single night, really? It doesn't work very well. It's just in practical terms. And there's no girl that would do that, because she'd lose her entire childhood while she's helping out this neighbor family. Or, or her teenage life, whatever. And then you could expect, well, the older siblings need to help out. When are they going to grow up so that they can help out? And even if they do grow up, you don't want the older kids to have too much burden on them either. I know of a family where this girl is the oldest, and she has like 6 siblings. And she basically now has to help out all of the other kids because her mother can't do it on her own, and she's living in monogamy, right? I also know of another family that had like freaking 11 kids or whatever it was. It was like extreme. It was a lot. And the oldest daughter died of cancer at 28 or 29. That's like, what? Why? Why did that happen? Burden. Okay? That's why it happens. It's not just a random event that happens. It's because of burden. The more burdens the woman gets, the more problems she gets with her relationships. But if she has great relationships, that means that she's very disciplined about taking care of her relationships, masculine, which means that she's going to struggle in the other areas of life, including, but especially health, right? So we've got to understand, how can we create capacity and abundance in every category of life? And monogamy simply doesn't cut it. Welcome to my channel, the Women of High Value channel. Let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to add. Other than that, let's see. This is pretty much it, guys. I want to create a world where women have capacity, where women are actually literal nurturers, when they have capacity to take care of their kids and then to take care of each other. And as a result, everyone is happy, everyone's fulfilled and everyone has harmony in the home because the man has set up the environment in the right way because he lives by certain principles and he provides abundance in terms of resources and protection so that the security is there. If that's in place, then women will be able to enjoy their lives from the moment, okay, they are born. That's what 3 in Love is designed to do. For women to be born, okay, girls to be born, and then boys will eventually grow up because they need to grow up if they want women in the future, right? But these girls are going to grow up, they're going to be teenagers, they're going to see what's happening with their siblings, they're going to of course help out because they have capacity and they care. And then once they're of an adult age, then they begin 3 in Love as well. And at that point in time, they have capacity immediately because they joined inside this relationship together with their 2 best friends forever, right? And then they go through life from that age of, the adult age that they are between 18 and 25, whatever it is that they get into 3 in Love with their man who's out there massively, ambitiously, with massive motivation going out and gathering up resources. And then these 3 women having each other. And they're not going anywhere. They're sticking together. If they choose to move somewhere, guess what? They all move together. Do they need babysitters? Probably not that much. Maybe just once in a while when they have to go out. But even if they do go out, maybe just one of them goes out together with the man sometimes, and then they do an all switcheroo and switch it up a bit. If they all want to go out one time, they bring all the kids. And guess what? When they're out, they actually have capacity to take care of the kids, right? And if they choose to go without the kids for one time, grandparents and aunties and sisters can handle that one evening, once in a while. But the cool part about 3 in Love is that it sets up a self-sustaining structure where families can take care of their own in a sustainable manner. As long as they keep, the amount of kids, 1 child per adult. That's it. We say 1 child per 8 years per woman. That's sufficient. And it's beautiful. It's an amazing family. And as they do that, they have joy, bliss, happiness throughout their entire lives. Are they going to have problems? Of course, right? But they get strength in numbers. They're going to have each other. And as a result of having each other, they can stand up for each other. They can help each other handle rejection. They can help each other handle problems. They can make sure that they have capacity for exercise, for good food, for, whatever else is necessary for their health to thrive and for their relationships to thrive. And guess what? When that's working in the home, the man will be fired up outside his brain to work and to succeed out there in the marketplace to gather up lots and lots of resources to impress his women so that he can retain them forever. Suddenly you found the solution for life here, where you can actually, together as a world, we can literally bring these families up and these kids are going to be blessed. Are you kidding me? Like they're going to get the best of the best in terms of a family environment that helps them to become the best citizens that they could ever be. And they will bring on the message forward. Like they will be amazing people. And amazing people, guess what? They bring forth more amazing people. And then they raise more amazing people. And then it continues for generations. This is just the beginning of the 3 in Love movement, but it has to start somewhere, and I recommend that it starts with you. This is the Women of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you in the next one.